Do you want to have a successful career? I think you have to be some degree of a psychopath. Some of it is ignorance. I think most of us didn't really realize what we got ourselves into. It was a passion that you had, and it developed into becoming a job.
With the amount of time commitment and obviously the tournaments and the schedule, I'm not very flexible at all.
I don't get to make plans. That's a big thing. I always told anybody who I ever dated or just any of my friends, like, I'll always prioritize this job over you. Like, I'm sorry, but this is like my life.
Every family trip, vacation, or anything you can think of, I can't be there.
I mean, I missed my grandpa's 90th birthday, which I really regret.
You really spend a lot of time in hotel rooms, in random places around the world, or some apartment in the facility building, and like your days, very much whether you want them to or not, become just Dota.
I think the biggest risk was just the Insania failure. I think a lot of people are rooting for you to fail.
I'm sure a lot of people at home have like this feeling when you discover a new game and the only thing you want to do is play that game and you're like obsessed with it. Ideally, you want to go into TI feeling that way about Dota.
When it's TI, you're just locked in a little bit more. It's so hard to describe, like the intensity level just ramps up like crazy.
My idea was just to grind as much as possible. Usually I get limited by my hands hurting, so I would just play until the point that my hands hurt, and that would be like the limiting factor.
We'd play 6 games a day, talk about Dota. The first thing I think of when I wake up, last thing I think of when I sleep. It's a lot at all times.
For a very long period of time in my life, I've always had gastro issues. Stress is a really big contributing factor, and obviously there's a lot of stress in competing.
If I'm gonna consider these years to be successful, I need to have one TI before I retire.
It is like the biggest thing in esports and Dota, but I don't know, I told the guys before, if we win TI, it'd be cool, but you know, you're already winners in my book. I'm cheesy like that, so. But it'd be sweet, like, I'm not denying that.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for your International 2024 champions, Team Liquid!
When we were about to win the game, there was kind of a long period of time, maybe like 5 or 10 minutes, when I kind of feel like it was in the bag. I wouldn't say that you're like, oh, we already won, but the idea that you're going to win is like kind of like settling in. So in a way, it's less of a adrenaline-filled moment when you actually win, because it's like something that you've been expecting for some time.
I mean, I kind of knew by like game 3 that it was going to happen, and so I had time to like go through everything and process.
I just remember the feeling was, I was expecting to be like super happy, like can't contain myself, but I felt very much at peace. More than anything, like some weight lifted off your shoulders, and like just walking around on the stage and like looking around at the crowd and seeing all these people that were gathered and like cheering for us.
There's just, I don't know how many rows of audience members, and everyone's like cheering you on, and there's fireworks going off.
I felt like life like really slowed down in the moment. I remember just like the crowds going crazy, and I was just so happy. It's just euphoria all the way through.
I think for me, I felt a bit drained also. Probably I expected to be a bit more like overjoyed, which I wasn't really. My girlfriend was there with my uncle and my 2 cousins. So that's very nice to have some family. I know like my brother's watching from home. He was in Canada, he couldn't make it. You know, unfortunately some other people couldn't be there. And it's always like bittersweet, I guess, to achieve something big in your life.
My mom was there, my sister was there, my girlfriend were there, so I guess they were like the first people that I got to see running up on stage. Mickey's family, or Boxi's family, William's family, Jabs' family, it was just like amazing feeling. But seeing everybody else so happy was almost nicer than winning the tournament itself, in the moment at least.
At some point we went back to the hotel and I met up with like my girlfriend and my friends who were there. And I think we just went to the after party. And we were just partying, drinking a little bit, not too much.
Everyone's really nice to you when you win. That was a great feeling.
And usually during those, you're trying to figure out if you want to keep the same roster for next year, or if you want to swap out some players, or you might be worried that you're going to get swapped out. And I think this was like the first TI after party where you just had none of it. You could talk to people and it wouldn't be like, they trying to like recruit me or what's going on. It was like none of that.
I was lucky to be surrounded by family and friends, so And that's all I really want in my life, is to be able to celebrate those moments with them.
This is how I look at you at all times, Agnes. The following weeks felt very much like, you know, you accomplished something great. And I remember like, I could just be randomly doing something and I would just think to myself like, I won TI. I'm like, yeah. And I just feel good. And it would just be like, you know, you play some pub and someone flames you and then you get really annoyed. And then 10 minutes later, you just think to yourself, well, I won TI, so. And you feel good again.
I mean, after a few days, or like maybe a week, I guess it settled in a bit more that like we actually won it and all the haters can suck it.
I felt like it was such a cool personal accomplishment, and nothing in my life will ever diminish that or take away from that. I got to do it with people that I really care about, and so I was incredibly pleased from start to finish.
There's always hints of depression, but I think that's just like the exhaustion, and it's not so much about actually being sad. It's just when you change from a very high octane, stress, adrenaline-filled environment into kind of nothing, the drastic change always appears a bit like melancholic or like empty.
So I had this feeling before when we won our first big tournament back in Han. I remember thinking like, this will be like the peak of my life. I'll feel happier than I've ever felt. And really the only thing I felt was no disappointment of losing.
It sucks more to lose than it feels good to win. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm not a graceful loser, but I don't enjoy the feeling of losing. If I'm playing, I want to keep winning. I don't want to like win TI and then like fade into obscurity afterwards.
I think it's probably the biggest thing that happens in Dota is that once people win TI, they realize it wasn't everything it was supposed to be. And of course, it can never be. Nothing can ever fill whatever like you have represented in your head for winning the moment. That's why I try and tell the guys, I stress it so much, like we're appreciating the journey along the way. Because if you don't and it's only about the end goal, of course you're going to be depressed, you know? Winning TI won't make you whole, you know, but it'll help like fill in the little gaps. And I feel like people should kind of have that realization in mind, that it's a cool thing to win, but like life will go on. People will forget anyways, so don't make it more than it is.
During the off time, didn't really open Dota at all. And when we went to our first Dota event of the year, I didn't really feel like super motivated. And already then I was thinking, maybe it's not a bad idea to like tell my team that I'm not sure if I'm gonna play out even the entire year. But then after like the first or second loss that we had, I did really feel like, you know, the urge to win kind of kicked in again. And you just needed like the kickstart to get you going, of like having a loss at an event and like being in an event and being around people that like you could feel their passion and it kind of reignited yours.
I feel like I guess it's not rage quit, to win quit after TI. Like, of course, like I could do it. I could just like decide to not show up, but you have obligations towards your team and your friends.
We obviously brought in a new player, and it's not just the fact that it's a new player, it's a starkly different player than Neta was.
I mean, in terms of the Dota, it's very different. We're just like a completely different team. I think in many ways, we are more similar to how we were playing with Zai than with Neta. Now we've kind of like regressed a bit and are playing more similar to how we used to.
With Neta, I felt like we really figured things out. Like right at the end, we really figured out how the team was gonna go, and then he leaves and it was just like, ah, well. And our team is really bad at keeping up skill, so we had to like really grind to get to where we are now, which is probably like, at worst, like the second or third best team in the world. I think Neta was a very sure person of who he was in game, and I think Saberlight isn't quite yet, and we're trying to help him develop and find that.
I think Saber is a very happy, enjoyable person to be around. And I think he's someone that is very goofy on camera and stuff, but very, very passionate and really cares about the game. So I think very good member for our team. I think he's someone that is gonna make the overall mood of the team always be better.
So far it's gone pretty good. We just got 6th at an event and then 2nd at like the biggest event aside from TI of the year so far. Nowadays it's a lot more relaxed. I have an amazing manager, Chloe, who really helps move things along. I have Jabs, who is like the best right-hand man ever, really just make sure that everything is like moving smoothly when it should be. And then you have KP, who's just a genius of the game.
Now, compared to maybe like a few years ago, it's a bit less stressful, because I feel like I've kind of like made it, or like, you know, you win TI, you've been on a successful team for a very long time, I don't feel the same pressure or stress that like it might not work out, or like what if, you know, this is it.
Knowing that I want TI kind of like makes it easier to retire if I want to. I feel like now the choice is like entirely up to myself. If I want to do it, I'll do it because I want to, not because I feel like I can't win or I'm getting too old to win.
I'm kind of tied to like the core members. And so as long as they're there, I have way more than enough motivation to want to stay. I mean, I signed like a long-term deal here at Liquid. And so for the next like 3 years, I think I'm stuck here. Life is terrible.
My goal now is more to just like follow my inner voice and whatever I feel like doing in the moment a bit more. So just trying to spend more time being happy. And luckily that includes being at events and performing well.
Somebody said once that winning's not the hard part, defending's the hard part. Because that's how competition works, right? If we were retired tomorrow, somebody else would win it and they would be the winner. And I can't have that happen, so it's gotta be me.
You know, winning TI once is no longer the accomplishment it used to be. As soon as like teams start winning it twice. So I think a lot of my teammates want to win it again. And of course I do too. I'm not going to pretend like I don't.
I would say that when the shift is no longer to win a tournament or a Dota goal, I mean, that's probably when you're no longer going to win a tournament or a Dota goal. Because if your full focus and heart's not in it, I don't think you're going to have the commitment that it takes. But I never really know when that day will come or like when it will happen, whether it's due to personal reasons, like health reasons, or whether it's due to the game dying down, or maybe I start becoming really bad and I get kicked. You kind of have to not take it for granted.
I think I just will intuitively feel when the time is right. You know, my decision to go to Dota instead of like pursuing studies or something like that was very much like, you know, I feel like this is the right path and I think this is what I'm supposed to do. Many other years I would have told you I just like really enjoy playing and I really want to win. And I still do. I really do like the lifestyle and I do enjoy going to the events. The main drive is just spending time with the team more than anything. I enjoy being around like the players, around the staff, to be honest. Everyone at Liquid's great.
This job, it gave me a lot of purpose. And I feel like when I was younger, I didn't really know what that was. The guys like helped me learn so much about myself, like what type of person I wanted to be.
I think in Dota there is not really an end goal. It's just to have fun, try your hardest, don't waste your opportunities.
It feels much more like everything's in my hands. And I don't know if that's like related to winning TI, but that's like, I guess the outcome. It's a more internal thing that comes from me now rather than some pressure that I've put on myself.
My future career paths, I have none. I'm so useless at doing anything but this. I'm so screwed. I have to do this job as long as I can. I'm trying to make it sound super nonchalant, but it's a desperation to it.
The ultimate end goal, I guess, is to at some point retire and be happy about it. And hopefully have been successful enough to not have to find a new job after a few years.
You don't really build any life skills, let's say, playing Dota. A lot of your skill sets just aren't that useful. Like, not many employers are going to care that you can get ADCS in 10 minutes or, you know, all these farming rotations. Potentially, I'll go into casting for a bit. Maybe I'll do some coaching. Maybe I'll go study. Maybe I'll do absolutely nothing at all and I'll just rot away at home playing MMORPGs like other people that have retired. Who knows what the future holds?
Maybe he has a couple of little kids. I don't know. My girlfriend wants kids and I'm not opposed to it. I'm just in 10 years maybe. Probably like catching up a bit on the aspects of life that I've missed out on. I'm always like abroad or I can't be home. Life moves on and like your pets and family members get older and your friends, you know, they go do other stuff and I'm still doing the same thing as I have been for, you know, 12 years now.
Very much looking forward to shifting priorities a bit. Just being at home and like waking up and not having to think about the next time I'm leaving my apartment is in 13 days and 14 hours. That part is extremely appealing to me at the moment. Aiden in 5 years hopefully is wiping poop off baby butts.
To like go and do things I enjoy, even just being outside in nature or like spending time with friends and family. Hopefully in 10 years I don't have health issues and back pain. Realistically, I think it only gets worse as you age.
What does my retirement look like? Hoping I built up enough social credit with people so I could have a home to live in. Hoping my girlfriend doesn't leave me. I don't know, one of those things. I hope that the team is not homeless next to me. I hope that they have really fulfilling lives and they've all got kids because they're all great people, and I feel like great people should have children to propagate more great people. So I hope they all have really good, fulfilling lives, and whatever they happen to do, I mean, the biggest thing is I hope we're still in contact 10 years from now and we're able to like see each other once in a while or be able to like speak on the phone. When the guys are done, then I'll be done. But other than that, like Dota lasts for 10 more years, like let's get it.